Back in the 80s and 90s, I used to read a magazine that was very, very popular across the world in the world of punk rock and underground music. Is there such thing as underground music? That's a very interesting question. But the truth was, back then, it was a network of writing letters, corresponding. It was very connected and cool. And Mykel Board was sort of one of those people that were instrumental in pissing a lot of people off, but also making them think. And I think that's more important. And both of them together were just a really great ball of fun and confusion. But he was a columnist for Maximum Rock and Roll. He was loved and hated. I loved him personally. But he also was the singer and proprietor of a band called Artless, which did some genius stuff. And he released a vinyl album that came out with fake rubber puke on the cover. And it was called, well, let's let him tell you the name. Mykel Board is on the phone from New York City. What was that album called?
Yeah, it wasn't called Mykel Board. It was called the You'll Hate This Record.
You'll Hate This Record, and that was on your label, which was called The Only Label in the World.
Right. And, yeah, it was a compilation of stuff by the most hated bands in America.
That's so cool. And Gigi Allen was on there. What song was did he do on that record?
I sent it to you because I looked it up, but I forgot now.
That's all good.
I'm senile. Okay.
Yeah. I'm halfway senile, so that makes us senile and a half.
Right. And, it's but it was the early Gigi, like the more melodic Gigi,
like the Jabbers type stuff.
Right.
Cool. I know you were not only a columnist and involved with Artless, but just so people know, you were also a teacher, and I believe you taught English in other countries.
I taught English in Japan for 2 years and in Mongolia for a year.
Now, that leads me to my first question. Our listener, Sasha, she's the host of the Pretty Vacant podcast, and it's really cool, and she has known of you since the old MRR days. She wanted to say that she made a living in Mongolia teaching, she was teaching English in Slovakia in the late 90s. She said she was making enough money to live, but not to buy extra stuff like, say, America, where you have all these things you can buy. She wondered, Mykel, did living in Mongolia make you ever, way more aware of your consumer habits in American society? And if so, in what ways?
No, it wasn't really consumer habits. It was just life habits. It's like, at that time, it was... pre-environmentally correct. And so you didn't have bags when you went to the grocery store. If you wanted to buy eggs, you brought your own egg carrier and refilled it. And if you wanted to buy meat, then you just got a chunk of meat. And it really was a big change because I had a direct connection with the stuff that I was buying. I wasn't buying some stuff with packages around it.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was saying things like, people over there would, for instance, use the calendar from last year again instead of getting a new one, and do things like try to recycle, use what they could versus having this expendable income like America. But that's a good answer. I like what you said. I was going to ask you, how long were you a columnist for Maximum Rock and Roll?
It's difficult to... I can approximate, and I would say maybe about 25 years or so, as long as Tim Yohannan was alive.
Wow.
We got along relatively well, even though we had different politics when he was alive. But it's difficult to get along with people after they die.
It's a very tricky situation.
Yeah.
Were you pals with Jeff Bale at all?
Oh, yes. Jeff Bale and I kept in touch through Facebook for a long time. Tim fired Jeff from Maximum Rock and Roll because he said Jeff was turning Republican. I was always the bad guy, so I could say whatever I wanted for Tim. And he made a rule that later editors, after he died, could not fire me. But
that's really cool, man.
They did.
They did fire you, those bastards.
Yeah.
Well,
only one evil girl.
Well, we won't even give her name out because why give her publicity?
Exactly. Right.
Jeff Bale rolled through here in Ashland, Oregon a few years ago, and I met up and had a cheeseburger with him. That was kind of cool.
Does he have a house there now?
You know, I don't know where he lives. He's not in my neck of the woods. If he does, I don't know if he's in Cali or if he's in Oregon, to be honest.
I think he was going to buy a house in Portland.
Okay, yeah, that's about 5 hours north of us.
Yeah.
Did you attend that G.G. Allen show in New York City back in the day at the Cat Club when he played with Jay Mascis of Dinosaur Jr.?
Did I attend it? Artless opened for G.G.
That's what I thought. See, my senility I couldn't figure out what the connection was, but you just reminded me.
Yeah,
so what was that like,
great.
opening for G.G. Allen at the Cat Club?
Well, there were good points and bad points. Of course, Gigi did a great show, but the weird thing is the audience was there to see Gigi. So when Artless played, there were a lot of flying bottles. I got hit in the forehead with the flying bottle. So I did the whole show with blood dripping down my face and on the floor. It was just great. But nobody remembers it. They only remember Gigi. It's sad, but I'll try bleeding again.
Well, that's cool that we were able to bring it up tonight. So Artless, G.G. Allen, and Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr., that must have been strange.
It was very strange. I have to give Gerard Cosloy from Matador Records the applause for setting that up and putting those people there, using his connection to make the band.
Well, and Gerard, of course, was with Homestead Records when Gigi did "You Give Love a Bad Name" album, which was a really good record, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. How many records did Artless do? Did you guys do a lot of stuff? I know the song we're going to play tonight is called "Beer Is Better Than Girls Are" from the 7-inch, with Crash Driver being on the other side. How many records and releases did Artless do? I've
lost track. It wasn't that much. There was 3 albums, and then there was one of the albums was repressed on the other side of a Gigi album. So we had split with Gigi. That's a little rare thing. It came out in Germany. And then the Artless first album, and a CD, and then the Crash Driver beer, and then I can picture the cover. There was another 7-inch, but in my senility, oh yes, Harass was the name, and that's Harass.
That's right. And now, wasn't there a different version of Artless that had a different name, or am I wrong?
Before Art, my first band was called Art.
That's what I thought.
And that was, and the only record that we had, we were on some compilations, but the only record we had was called The Only Record in the World. And the hit song was Ugly People with Fancy Hairdos. We were making fun of the art rock crowd.
the only band in the world, is that what you said?
Yeah, it was Art, the only band in the world, and the name of the record was The Only Record in the World, and it was on the label, The Only Label in the World.
I love that, man. I've always liked the stuff you've done. I tell you, man, when you were at Maximum Rock and Roll doing those columns every month, you would just get so many people stirred up from anywhere from like little towns in Mississippi to L.A., and it was great because they'd get so pissed off, and you were just so elegant about how you handled that stuff, and it was extremely intelligent, but at the same time, obnoxious as all hell. It was great.
Well, thank you. Do you remember meeting me in New York?
I do, man. My band, actually, Bloody Mess and the Scabs, played 2 shows in one night. We did the Scrap Bar, and then we ran over to the Continental Divide after that, and I believe that's where I met you.
Right, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that was a crazy night, man. There was a lot of, let's just say, chemicals happening in that period of my life, so it was a very strange time.
So, I can't believe that there were punk rockers that had chemicals in their bodies. Hard to.
That's cool that you came out. That was a good show, though. There was a lot of people there, and it was just a trippy night in general because they had just had, I think, Iggy Pop's birthday party there recently before that or something.
It was a good show, and the Continental is gone now.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, George Tabb used to do a reunion there every year of Furious George, and there was one night, there were pictures somewhere on the internet of me and, the Reverend Norb?
Oh, yeah, from the Reverend Norbert Ugley from Wisconsin.
Right. So the two of us were, me and George were behind the Rev when they were performing and just doing nasty antics on stage, but it was fun.
Wow, that's awesome. I've been in touch with George, and I was thinking of having him on the show sometime, and he said yeah, so I should book that, man, and get that done with.
Yeah, you should. He's been sick on and off, very sick, because of he was close to the World Trade Center stuff, and there was all kinds of weird chemicals in the air.
Oh, bummer, man. What do you do today, man? Do you work? Do you teach? Are you retired? Do you do music? What do you do most of the time?
That's right.
Yes, the answer is yes.
During the plague, I was teaching up until the plague at a school, but during the plague, the school physically closed. Now I have fewer classes, but still, I guess it's part-time. I'm teaching by Skype, but all my students are Japanese.
Oh wow! So that's very interesting that you're able to make a living like that from home. That's cool.
Nah, I would rather go to the school. I don't like teaching from home.
Yeah, I mean,
home is where I live, not where I work.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess it's just the way it is, eh? Because of the logistics, and all that.
Yeah.
I know this is a general question, but I just have to ask, if you have to name, like, off the top of your head, your very favorite rock or punk bands, who would come up to thought immediately?
So favorite punk band and maybe their favorite rock band is the Dead Boys.
Yeah.
The Dead Boys just win. They were the best band I've seen. I must have seen them 20 times at CBGB's. But
wow.
They had the great stage personality, they had a great sound, and then incredible songs like Anthem. I don't need anybody.
Don't need no mom and dad. Don't need no pretty face.
Yes, don't need no human race.
Yeah, I don't need anyone. Dead Boys forever, for sure. Stiv Bators. Did you know Stiv Bators and those guys?
Yeah, I wasn't good friends with them, but I knew them, and they knew me. At that time, I was taking pictures and doing some rock writing, but mostly my biggest connection was through a camera with film and developed, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I remember those days.
Yeah, I had stuff that, you remember Rock Scene magazine?
Oh, yeah.
So I took pictures for them sometimes.
Oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that. Rock Scene.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. If people want to reach you or find you, where do they go?
Well, they could just turn over a rock, I think. But I'm glad you asked that. The best way is to send me an introductory email, and you could guess my email address, but I'll tell you, it's god@mykelboard.com.
god@mykelboard.com.
Yeah, but that's Mykel for people who don't know. MykelBoard.
Nice. It's always it's interesting to keep in touch with you. I wish we had more time, and maybe we can do another chat sometime. But I appreciate having this short chat with you tonight, man. And
sure.
I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope people appreciate that we're getting ready to play some Artless right now. It's a tune called
nice.
"Beer is Better Than Girls Are." It's kind of a classic.
Yes, that was our first hit, and it did get me thrown off the stage more than once, I'm proud to say.
Let's throw it out there for Kathleen Hanna, shall we?
All right, excellent. Yes.
Mykel Board, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Okay, it's a pleasure.
All right.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Well, we're going to do some Artless. Sister Tracy's been kind enough to cue this up for us, and you got to have a sense of humor when you deal with Mykel. That's his whole thing is humor. He just thinks the world's too serious, and he's not into it. So he makes fun of everything. And this is just a joke. It's called "Beer is Better Than Girls Are" from 1990 at the Church of Rock in KSKQ. Thanks for being here.
Once there was a girl who had a little curl. It was right in the middle of her forehead. And when she was good, she was good. She was very, very good. But when she was bad, she was horrid.
No matter how cunning or stunts, with a girl at that time of the month. The difference, of course, with a beer, it's good every day of the year. Beer stains wash out, beer's not late. It never says no to a date. The label comes off with no fight. It doesn't say headache tonight.
Beer is better than girls are. I don't care where their little girls are. When you're out with the boys in a bar, a beer will wait in the car. Yes, a beer will wait in the car.
It's never a cause for dismay. When your beer's flat, just toss it away. A beer will always give you good head. It goes down easy in bed. A frigid beer you want to get, you know it still will be wet. Jealousy you never will fear when you go grab another beer.
Beer is better than girls are. I don't care where their little girls are. When you're out with the boys in a bar, a beer will wait in the car. Yes, a beer will wait in the car.
It won't be shy or take offense. A beer will let you share it with friends. Handle it, it won't say stop it. You know if you're the first to pop it. And drinking a beer is always fun. No need to ask it if it has come. If all else fails, it's understood. You don't have to wash it before it tastes good.